I caught up with Casey just a short time ago.
Well, David, we don't like looking at just single polls here at Insiders. Where we can, we'd much prefer to look at all of them at once. So here they are, the national polls measuring support for The Voice. This one here is one that drew a lot of attention a few weeks back from Resolve. It was the first one published in Australia where more people were saying no, 51%, than said yes. There was another poll published yesterday in newspapers from JWS Research. It was published yesterday, but it was actually conducted at the start of the month, about the same time as that Resolve poll, and it's come up with some similar numbers. So there's two there where no are ahead of yes, but there's a bit of uncertainty around because in that same week, this poll from Essential had yes at 60%. That all being said, it doesn't take a statistics degree to see there is clearly a bit of contraction happening here. You can really eyeball that trajectory. But rather than me just drawing on a touchscreen, let's do something a little bit more rigorous. Just like we did for the federal election campaign last year, we're computing a polling average of all of these using a model that was developed by Professor Simon Jackman from the University of Sydney. And here's what it looks like. Dozens of polls aggregated into a single trend line, a trend line that's going down and currently is sitting at about 51.7% for the yes side. Here's Simon Jackman.
It's patently obvious. You don't need to fit a model even to see that yes has given up anywhere from 4 to perhaps as much as 10 points since the start of the year.
So there is a lot of uncertainty still here. Those differences in polls we're seeing has pushed the interval of confidence that we have in our average wider. It's currently sitting at almost 6 percentage points. So a lot of variation in those polls. And some of that is just random expected noise. It is a function of statistics and sampling. But Simon Jackman does say there are probably other factors that are influencing it as well.
There's all the things like question wording, method of sampling, method of correcting for unrepresentativeness in sampling, and that leads to even greater variation across polls. It's something we're quite accustomed to seeing in Australian polling. Now, what we're seeing of late is a little on the large side.
And just one more thing, David, these are all national polls, aggregating everyone in the country into a single number. But remember, the states are equally important in determining whether this referendum passes or fails. And it is entirely plausible that we might see the national figure higher than 50%, even as high as that 51.7%, and still see the referendum defeated because at least 3 states have voted against.
And Casey, now that the referendum bill's through the Parliament, we are expecting to see a lot more campaigning start to ramp up. Do we have any indication yet of each side's strategies?
David, I've always said if you want to know a campaign's strategy, look at where it spends its money. So let's do it with a platform that does share a bit of information about ad spending. This is Facebook. The 2 largest Facebook pages are the Yes23 campaign on the yes side and Fair Australia on the no side. Both have spent roughly similar amounts on ads in the last 90 days on Facebook, about $110,000. Not a huge amount of money, but what's really interesting is how they're choosing to spend it. If you if you look at the per capita spending across the 6 states, Yes23 is spending it, roughly evenly across all of them. But No is choosing to focus on 4 states in particular. They're choosing to focus on Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia and Tasmania. In fact, in Queensland, No is outspending Yes 2-1. Why are they doing that? Again, this is about that second condition for a referendum to pass. You need 4 states to vote in favour. The polling's suggesting that that will be the easier condition to defeat if you are campaigning for No. Just like in a general election where you might consider marginal seats that get a whole lot of attention, in this referendum, I think we'd probably regard these 4 as the marginal states.
Casey Briggs there. We'll keep checking in with him over the course of the coming months ahead of this referendum. Just quickly, though, on the big question